they are calling it a humiliation and a surprise because France keep on taking hits after hits with what's going on in West Africa.
Decolonization around the world is picking up steam. Today, Chad ended its defense cooperation agreement with its former colonial power, France. This will require French soldiers to leave the country. Right after this, the Senegalese president came out with a statement saying that France should remove all of its military bases from Senegal. He added that French presence is incompatible with the country's sovereignty. European colonization in Africa stripped Africans of so much, incalculable amount of suffering and theft. In my lifetime, I hope that I'll get to see a free Africa.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren
and I'm Maureen. So in today's episode, we've compiled a video of how and why France was kicked out of West Africa and their estranged relationship right now.
Right. So guys, while Ibrahim Traore and some of the West African countries have managed to kick out France successfully, what we are going to be asking in this video is, why is it that East African countries are beginning to warm up to France to the point where they are causing up to them and inviting them into their country? And I'm gonna be specific, this is Kenya, yeah,
right? Because I do believe for someone to be kicked out of a certain house, he must be bad for that said house,
right?
And for another person to take him in, it means this said person will do the same thing in this house, the same thing he has done in the house where he's been kicked out of.
Yeah, if you get what we mean, guys. So we don't want to talk a lot, let's just watch this video. But before we do, I just want all of you to know that, in case you didn't know, Kenya is going to be hosting, and I'm not even saying this in a way to be, because there's nothing to be proud about. Right. Kenya is going to host the France Africa Summit in 2026 for the first time. It has never ever happened. And the president who endorsed this is a president that has become well known to you, President Ruto. Yeah. So let's watch this and then we come back and talk about it. Let us know what you think about this on the comment section. Also consider subscribing if it's your first time here. Let's watch.
See, earlier this year, France sent Jean-Marie Bockel, aka the African Whisperer, over to Côte d'Ivoire, Gabon, and Chad to take their temperature and see if they can get away with keeping French support in that region. But when it comes to Senegal, he flew over it, didn't want to stop by, claiming that elections were happening. But was that the truth? Senegal's been on a sovereignty mission, and Prime Minister Sonko's been loud about wanting the French out. And in June of 2024, when President Faye visited France, he acted diplomatic when questioned about France's presence in the region. He kind of gave the impression like, we're still thinking about it. And you can see from Macron's face, that's not a smile. He's probably pissed. Because little did he know, turns out they were already done thinking about it, and just recently they released a statement that they want all French bases to close down and to exit stage left. Now as for Chad, when our guy Boukel, you know, the African Whisperer, visited Chad earlier this year, he went back to France and told his friends, we have everything under control, okay? We get to keep our bases, but we gotta tone down our presence in the region. Now fast forward to November 28th, a significant date for Chad, marking the proclamation of the Republic. The French foreign minister, let me show you him. This guy right over here, Jean-Noël Barrot, okay, flew in for his usual visits. This is what they kind of do. I don't even know why he rolled up on a day like this, but just hours after he left, Chad announced that they're ending the support pact with France, asking all the servicemen and servicewomen to go back to France. They could even wait for Jean-Noël to land back in Paris before they dropped the eviction letter. Like, they were so blindsided that even the government of Chad has to make an announcement. No incident happened, okay? Nothing went off. We just are kind of done. Now, who do you think will be the next country?
So why is the West pushing social issues so hard on the African continent? You've probably seen stories like this where the aid that is being offered to Africa often comes with stipulations that they have to enact social reforms that are pretty unpopular. Well, there's a reason for this that I learned in politics, where I spent the better part of a decade being elected, and I want to share those with you. So one of the things that I learned in politics is that the general public has a limit for how much outrage that they have. So if they spend all of their time being angry on social issues, they don't have any time to be upset over economic issues. So if we have an aid package come in that comes with a whole bunch of stipulations that the people find really, really unpopular, they're not going to notice when the terms of that loan really work against their economy, or it's all siphoned out back to the West, leaving them with a whole bunch of debt. Again, it's a typical trick that we do in Western politics to our own people. Create social issues that people get really riled up and angry on, because as long as they're angry about social issues, they're not angry about the financial issues. What we want from Africa isn't social reform. We genuinely, I'll tell you, we don't care about those issues that we say we care about. What we really want is the resources and the money, and to kind of keep them down. So again, if you see us pushing a whole bunch of weird agendas on you and you're like, why the heck are they doing that so hard? Well, now you got the reason. You'll be fighting over these social issues, and you're not going to see that we're taking money out of the back of your pocket.
Mali has dropped French as its official language, which had been in use since 1960. The country ordered French NGOs to leave the country in November 2022. Mali suspended French TV stations RFI and France 24. It also expelled France's ambassador in January 2022. French troops left the country in August 2022.
Oh, they are mad now. Now, it's no surprise we got a new Africa forming, and ever since Mali kicked the French out, they did a deep house cleaning, and guess what they found? They found an infestation of companies leeching off of Mali's treasure troves of gold. Now, listen, Mali is one of the top countries in Africa with gold deposits, and I'm not surprised about that, because that's Mansa Musa's home. But guess who's trying to be the new Mansa Musa in Mali? Terence Houlihan. See, Terence Houlihan is an Australian gold miner and a CEO of Resolute Mining Company. And on his visit to Mali, he was asked basic questions like, who are you? What are you doing here? Does your company pay taxes to Mali? All of these fair questions in which he was unable to answer very well, which resulted in him being detained, him and his colleagues, until they could figure out this whole alleged missing taxes of an estimate of $150 million that his company owes to Mali. Well, I hope this deep house cleaning continues on the continent, because it makes no sense how you could be the wealthiest continent in terms of natural resources, yet have the lowest GDP per capita in almost all of its nations when compared to other continents. And this should open up the discussion to pull back on foreign countries leading the African mining sector and start establishing state-owned large-scale operations so that bigger investment can go back to the people. But that kind of means you need a fair and honest leader, right?
They try to take out Captain Traore, people. They try to take him out. I'm scared for his safety. I'm worried. There is no way that a president should be in office for only 2 years and have 18 attempts on his life. I actually have to start asking questions about the security services in Burkina Faso. I have to start asking questions about the other Sahel Alliance countries, Mali and Niger. What are you doing to make sure that this is not happening? Because it's not happening to you people. There's a reason why this keeps happening to Captain Traore. That's the reason why he must be protected. Because he's the driving force of what is happening with the liberation of West Africa and the Sahel region from neocolonialism. It's a fact. He's the man who's driving it with the master plan. And it rhymes. Listen, when a president has had 2 attempts on him, everything should get shaken up. Everything, people get sacked, entire departments get gutted 18 times. That means that everybody's taking a shot.
When Captain Ibrahim Traoré turned down IMF and World Bank loans, it's because Burkinabe people were like, we don't need your loans, we got this. These people came together and raised about $220 million of national funds, okay? So the money would be used for them to buy military equipment, you know what I'm saying, to strengthen their military. They're going to use the money to develop themselves small. And they said, take your loans and go and trap somebody else with it, not us. We are no longer asleep. Okay, we're gonna fund ourselves to our freedom.
France continues to face a major pushback in Africa. Senegal and Chad are the latest African countries to strongly voice their disapproval of the French military's presence on their soil. On November 28, President Bassirou Diomaye Faye said Senegal is an independent nation and that sovereignty does not accept the presence of military bases in a sovereign country. The Senegalese head of state alluded to nearly 400 French soldiers in the West African nation. The foreign soldiers were stationed to provide regional military training. They are based at 2 camps in the country's capital, Dakar. Sometimes the soldiers use Dakar's military airport and also operate from a high-frequency radio transmitting station near the capital city. President Faye, however, told AFP news agency that his call for French troops to leave does not mean the two nations are cutting ties. No withdrawal ultimatum was publicly issued. On the same day, Chad also announced it was ending its defense cooperation agreement with France. About 1,000 French soldiers are stationed in Chad to guarantee the protection of French interests and nationals. They are also tasked with providing logistical and intelligence support to Chad's military, as well as taking part in counter-terrorism initiatives. The defense cooperation agreement between Chad and France was last renewed in 2019, and now Chad, through its foreign ministry, says it has matured and is a sovereign state that is very jealous of its sovereignty. Chad also says its latest declaration on the withdrawal of French soldiers enables it to redefine its strategic partnerships. France, through its foreign affairs ministry, said on November 29th it had received Chad's communication indicating the African nation's desire to see this security defense cooperation evolve. Chad did not give a date for the withdrawal of the French troops. In recent times, France has been under pressure to surrender its grip on former colonies in Africa, with Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger separately forcing the European nation to withdraw its troops. Mali, under General Assimi Goïta, was the first to pull the plug on French troops in early 2022. In January that year, West African Regional Bloc ECOWAS had sanctioned Mali for delaying a return to civilian rule. Tensions mounted and Mali expelled French ambassador to the country. In February 2022, French President Emmanuel Macron said his country would pull its 2,400 troops out of Mali after nearly a decade of being in the West African nation to help contain insurgency. The last French troops in Mali left in August 2022. Burkina Faso, under Captain Ibrahim Traoré, ended its military cooperation agreement with France in January 2023, citing Burkina Faso's need to be the prime actor in the recapture of our territory. About a month later, all the 400 French troops left the West African nation. Niger also pushed out some 1,500 French soldiers after the coup against President Mohamed Bazoum in July 2023. The last French troops in Niger left in December 2023.
So guys, welcome back.
Right, so you know, for Kenya to even consider hosting this France Africa Summit, Kenyans first of all do not even speak French. Our national languages are English and Kiswahili.
You wonder what interest Kenya has in all of this, yeah?
Right, of which I ask myself, sometimes even if you're walking yourself to certain alliances. Anyway, we as normal people usually like to think that people who are in power sometimes act for the good of the country, but in this case we're asking ourselves, whose good is he acting upon?
Right. And you know, I feel like there are leaders that really do a lot to walk Africa into a certain place, and there are those specific leaders who've been put in place to just walk Africa back 10 years, you know,
collaborators.
Exactly, if you know what you mean.
Because I feel like it's very impressive that Traoré has managed to pay a huge debt that Burkina Faso owed, and it has managed to get France out of its regions.
And not just Burkina Faso. If all African leaders could just come together, yeah, and being led by Burkina Faso, because they've done it successfully. Whether it's successful, we still don't know, because they are still trying everything they can to interfere with their affairs, yeah. And you know what these countries in West Africa have done to France, have made the president of France be kind of looked down upon when he goes to world stages. I don't know if you guys saw a video where Donald Trump went to visit Macron, yeah, and there's a way Donald Trump was treating Macron that I would say it was quite disrespectful, and it was really lowering the power of Macron.
I felt like he was treating him like he was better than him, and Macron was less than.
Yeah, and right now you would say Macron is really losing respect, you know. And I also heard that France had a vote of confidence against Macron because they no longer believe in him. They
As a
leader. They believe that Macron, because of his weakness, he's lost major countries that, you know, they like exploiting.
Right. And I feel like it's only just a matter of time because its government was also in the brink of collapse. But I don't know if it will collapse or France will successfully leech on to other African countries like Kenya.
Yeah, but we are seeing France for what it is, a very good, perfect leech that cannot survive with, you know, without other small countries.
Right, and I just wish that other African leaders would join West African leaders in trying to secure the future of Africa.
Right.
Because all said and done, if the leaders continue like this, Africa will not be ours for keeping.
Right. If there's a few of them who are trying to fight for the better good of the people, what is their effort amounting to, you know?
Yeah, because right now I feel like there's so few leaders who are being antagonized by so many dirty and rotten leaders in Africa that they're suffocating the good leaders in Africa.
But you know, the fact that Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, the fact that they could do it, this is a very good example of it's not impossible. It's just that, you know, there are people in places who are making it impossible. They're working very hard to make sure that the whole of Africa does not get to enjoy that thing that thing that Burkina Faso has started enjoying, you know. And there's another thing also one speaker spoke of. The guy was the palm colored man was talking about how social issues have started being pushed into Africa, you know. Guys, when I tell you, and I know you can bear us witness, when we tell you how the structure of an African society, how it has been structured, there are certain things that are not allowed. Why? Because it's a taboo, never unheard of. And when I say this, guys, I don't need to verbally talk about it. You know what I mean. Like, for example, God created Adam and Eve, right? If you know where that is going, you know what I mean. So in African societies and culture, some things are a taboo. And this guy talked about you know, the West pushing some social issues down onto Africa,
so that you know, Africans can concentrate more on those social issues and they'll be blind to the fact that they're being robbed in daylight.
Yeah, and I'm telling myself how true this is, because right now, if you come, okay, let me talk about Kenya because this is my country, right? There's a lot of things that are happening, a lot of things that Kenyan kids are consuming that it's not strange for you to see, you know, someone with a rainbow color. You know what I mean?
Right. And also right now Kenyans are being distracted by a lot of social issues that, yes, are important, but it just begs the question in the behind the curtains what is happening. Because I don't know how many of you guys know that Kenyan women, it was actually yesterday, they were marching for or against, they were marching against femicide that's been happening in Kenya. For there to be so many you know, number of females dying, I feel like these are things that are really happening deliberately, because, you know, they're keeping Kenyans busy because something else is going on behind the curtain.
Because in the beginning, when these cases started coming out, the government came out and they, you know,
it wasn't the government, it was the chief of police.
He denied that femicide was going on in Kenya. And you know, every day you get the news reports of a female being unalived somewhere, you know. So yesterday Kenyan women held the march to end.
Of course, also men
some men attended,
which was good of them,
right? But they're still denying that there's no femicide going on in Kenya. So this is a social issue that, quite frankly, is distracting Kenyans from what the Kenyans have an online, can I say online campaign, online presence and online campaign. They're like, if you're not going to march against, you know, they must go Ruto. If they're not going to march against him, they're going to hold an online campaign against him. So if you come into Kenyan spaces, that is TikTok, Instagram, where they have representation. X, they have representations, and I feel like they are holding their demonstrations on social media platforms.
Internet,
And I heard from a creator in Kenya who was talking about somebody, you know, right now everybody is saying Ruto must go. So anything you hear with those phrases, you know, and understand where it is leading to, right? So there was a guy who had a jersey shirt on, and he had just written on his jersey, must go 27.
Making any reference to any political leader whatsoever.
Right. So must go 2027. What does that mean? 2027 is when Kenya will be holding its general elections, right? And so him having must go 27, that's like a message.
I don't know if
indirectly.
Yeah, he was accused of treason and conspiracy to cause violence.
Right. So, you know, right now people can't really enjoy freedom of speech, but they find a
ways
way
to express their anger with the government.
Right.
Right.
So I say Africa is a long way. So long as we have majority of the 54 countries still have
bad leadership.
Exactly, because South Africans are down there complaining about
Ramaphosa.
Nigerians are up there complaining about Tinubu.
And
Ghana
just
is complaining about who?
Yeah.
And just recently?
No, it's okay.
So guys, let us know what you think about this episode on the comment section. As usual, we appreciate you for joining us on this episode.
Right. See you on our next episode.